Alex dragged his tired feet up the front steps of his shared house. His backpack felt like it weighed a ton, stuffed with thick books about space and planets that most people would find boring. But Alex loved this stuff. He was working on his big research paper about planets that might have life on them. Way out there in the deep darkness of space. The house was quiet. His other roommates were probably asleep already. Alex had been at the university library until it closed, reading about distant stars and wondering if anyone was looking back at Earth from those faraway worlds. Little did he know, the answer to that question was much closer than he thought. He walked around to the back of the house, thinking he might sit by the pool for a few minutes before bed. The cool night air always helped him relax after hours of studying. But as he stepped into the backyard, something made him stop dead in his tracks. The swimming pool was glowing. Not the harsh white glow of regular pool lights, but something soft and blue, like moonlight mixed with starlight. It pulsed gently, as if the water itself was breathing. Alex blinked hard, thinking maybe his tired eyes were playing tricks on him. He had been staring at computer screens and book pages for 12 straight hours, after all. But the glow was real. Alex moved closer, his heart starting to beat faster. Maybe someone had installed new LED lights and forgot to tell him? But as he got nearer to the edge of the pool, he saw something that made his brain struggle to make sense of what he was seeing. There was someone in the water, someone floating peacefully on their back, arms spread wide, face turned up to the stars. And that someone was glowing. It was Zara, his roommate who had moved in about 6 months ago. But this wasn't the Zara he knew. This wasn't the quiet graduate student who always wore long sleeves and seemed to avoid bright lights. This Zara had skin that shimmered with soft blue light, like she was made of liquid starlight. Alex's mouth fell open. He tried to step backward, but his foot hit a lawn chair, making it scrape loudly against the concrete. The sound shattered the peaceful silence. Zara's eyes snapped open, and Alex gasped. Her eyes weren't the brown he remembered from their casual conversations in the kitchen. They were shifting colors like oil on water, going from deep blue to green to silver in the span of a heartbeat. For a moment, they just stared at each other. Alex standing frozen by the pool's edge, Zara floating in the glowing water with panic written across her luminous face. Then Zara moved faster than any human should be able to move in water. She dove under, and the glow started to fade quickly, as if someone was turning down a dimmer switch. When she came up near the pool's edge, gasping, her skin looked normal again, almost normal. There was still the faintest shimmer, like she was wet with more than just pool water. Alex, she said, and her voice sounded different somehow, more musical. I didn't know you were. I thought you were at the library. I was, Alex managed to say, his voice coming out as barely more than a whisper. I just got back and I saw. He couldn't finish the sentence. How do you describe what he had just seen? How do you explain that your quiet, ordinary roommate was floating in a pool of light like some kind of magical creature from a fairy tale? Zara pulled herself up onto the edge of the pool, water streaming from her hair and clothes. In the dim light from the house, she looked almost normal again. Almost. But Alex could see tiny sparkles in her wet hair, and when she moved, there were still faint traces of that otherworldly glow. You saw what? She asked quietly, but Alex could tell she already knew the answer. You were glowing, Alex said simply. The whole pool was glowing, and you were floating there like you belonged in the light. Zara closed her eyes and took a deep breath. When she opened them again, Alex could see something in them he had never noticed before. Something ancient and sad and infinitely patient. I can explain, she said, softly. Can you? Alex asked, and he was surprised by how calm his own voice sounded. Maybe it was shock, or maybe some part of him had always known there was something different about Zara. Something special. Zara stood up slowly, water still dripping from her clothes. She looked at Alex for a long moment, as if trying to decide. Something very important. Then she spoke words that changed everything. I'm not from here, Alex. The simple sentence hung in the air between them like a bridge made of words. Alex felt like he was standing at the edge of that bridge, looking across to a completely different world. What do you mean? he asked, though part of him already knew. Zara looked up at the stars scattered across the dark sky above them. See, that bright star there, the really bright one that twinkles blue? Alex followed her gaze and nodded. That's Vega. My home is near there, very near. Compared to the distances you study in your books, the words should have sounded crazy. They should have made Alex laugh or call someone or run away. Instead, they sounded like the missing piece of a puzzle he hadn't even known he was trying to solve. You're telling me you're from another planet, Alex said. It wasn't a question. I'm telling you that I've been living here for 2 years, studying your people, your world, and in all that time, no one has ever seen me like this. No one has ever caught me being myself. Zara moved closer to Alex, and he could smell something like ocean air and ozone around her. I never meant for anyone to find out, especially not you. Why especially not me? Because, Zara said, and for the first time since he had known her, she sounded uncertain, vulnerable. Because you're the first human I've ever cared about. The confession hit Alex like a gentle wave. He realized that over the past 6 months, he had grown to look forward to their conversations in the kitchen. The way she listened to his theories about life on other planets with such intense interest. Now he understood why. So what happens? Now, Alex asked. Zara looked at him with those color-shifting eyes, and Alex could see her making another decision. She stepped closer and held out her hand. Would you like to understand what I really am? Alex looked at her outstretched hand, then back at her face. The face that looked human, but somehow more than human. The face of someone who had traveled between stars to be here, in this moment, offering him a choice that would change everything. His rational mind screamed warnings. His scientific training demanded evidence and proof. But his heart, knew that some discoveries were too important to analyze first. Alex reached out and took Zara's glowing hand in his own. The moment their skin touched, everything changed. The warmth from Zara's hand spread up Alex's arm like gentle electricity. It wasn't painful or scary. It felt like coming home after a long journey, like finding something he had been searching for his whole life without knowing it. Come with me, Zara said softly, leading him toward the pool. Alex's logical mind started to protest. Wait, I can't swim that well, and I'm still wearing my clothes, and trust me, Zara said. And something in her voice made all his worries disappear. They stepped into the pool together, the warm water rising around their legs, then their waists. Alex waited for the familiar feeling of water filling his nose and mouth, the panic that always came when he went too deep. But it never came. Instead, as they sank below the surface, something incredible happened. Alex could breathe. Not the desperate, choking gasps of someone drowning, but real, easy breaths, as if the water had turned into the most pure air he had ever tasted. He opened his eyes underwater and nearly cried out in amazement. The whole pool was alive with light. Streams of blue and silver swirled around them like living ribbons. Fish that definitely hadn't been there before swam in graceful circles, their scales catching the light like tiny mirrors. Plants that looked nothing like any earth plant he had ever seen wave gently in the current. But most amazing of all was Zara. In the water, she looked like herself but more. Her skin glowed, with soft patterns that moved and shifted like constellations. Her hair floated around her face like she was weightless in space. When she smiled, her teeth had the same gentle glow as everything else. How's this possible? Alex asked, and he was shocked to hear his own voice clear and normal. Even though they were completely underwater, my people were not so different from yours, Zara explained, her voice sounding like music mixed with the sound of gentle waves. But we evolved in a world where the line between land and water doesn't exist the way it does here. We learned to live in both, to breathe in both. She moved through the water with grace that made Alex feel clumsy in comparison. But somehow, while holding her hand, he could move the same way. He could twist and turn, dive and float, as if he had been born to live underwater. And you can share this? Alex asked, looking down at their joined hands, for a little while, with someone I trust completely. The weight of those words settled over Alex like a warm blanket. She trusted him completely. This incredible being from another world. Who could have chosen anyone on Earth to share her secret with, trusted him? They swam together in comfortable silence for a while. Alex watched schools of those impossible fish swim past, saw plants that seemed to reach out and touch him gently as he passed. It was like swimming through a living dream. "What's your world like?" Alex finally asked. Zara's eyes lit up, literally becoming brighter. "Aquinas is beautiful. Imagine oceans that stretch from horizon to horizon, but they're warm and crystal clear. Cities that float both on the surface and deep underwater, connected by currents of light like the ones you see here." As she spoke, Alex could see it in his mind. Vast blue worlds where people move like dolphins through crystal waters, where buildings grew like coral reefs, where the line between sea and sky was just a suggestion. "There are mountains too," Zara continued, "but they rise from the deepest ocean floors, their peaks breaking through the surface to touch the clouds. And the sunsets, oh, Alex, the sunsets paint the entire ocean in colors your human eyes have never seen." "It sounds incredible," Alex said. "But you left all that to come here. Why?" Zara's glow dimmed a little, and Alex could see something sad pass across her face. "My people want to understand other worlds, other species. We've been watching Earth for a long time, but watching from far away only tells you so much." She led him to a deeper part of the pool, where the light seemed even more magical. "I volunteered to come here, to live among humans, to learn how you think and feel and dream. My job was to study you like specimens in a laboratory." "Was?" Alex noticed the past tense. Zara stopped swimming and turned to face him fully. "Everything changed when I met you, Alex. When I started having conversations with you about the stars, about the possibility of life on other worlds. You talked about meeting other species with such hope, such excitement, not fear, not suspicion. Hope." Alex felt his heart do something strange in his chest. "And that changed things for you?" "It changed everything. I stopped seeing humans as subjects to study and started seeing them as people, as friends." As she trailed off, but Alex could see in her glowing eyes what she couldn't say out loud. "As someone you could care about," he finished gently. Zara nodded, and Alex saw what looked like tears in her eyes, though he couldn't be sure if they were tears or just the way light moved through water. They floated there together, hands still connected, surrounded by impossible beauty. Alex realized that everything he had ever wondered about, every question he had ever had about life beyond Earth, was swimming right next to him, trusting him with secrets that could change the world. "What happens now?" Alex asked. "Now you know who I really am," Zara said. "And I have to trust that you'll help me keep the secret." "Of course I will," Alex said without hesitation. "But Zara, there's something I need to tell you too." "What?" "I've been fascinated by you since the day you moved in. I thought it was because you were smart and mysterious and listened to my boring space theories." Without falling asleep, Zara laughed, a sound like silver bells underwater. "But now I understand." Alex continued. "I was drawn to you because somehow, deep down, I knew you were exactly what I'd been searching for my whole life." They moved closer together in the glowing water, and Alex felt like he was floating in more ways than one. "So what do we do now?" he asked. Zara's smile was brighter than all the lights in the pool combined. "Now we figure out what it means when someone from the stars falls for someone from Earth." As they swam together through the magical underwater world Zara had created, Alex realized that his life had just become the greatest adventure he could have ever imagined. But their underwater paradise couldn't last forever. Eventually, they had to surface, had to return to the ordinary world where people didn't glow and pools were just pools. As they climbed out, dripping and laughing, Alex felt the magic slowly fading from his system. "Will I be able to do that again?" he asked. "As long as we're together." Zara promised. They stood by the edge of the pool, both of them soaking wet, but somehow not caring. Alex looked at Zara, really looked at her, and saw her as she truly was for the first time. Human-looking but otherworldly, familiar but exotic, ordinary but absolutely magical. "I have so many questions," he said. "I know, and I want to answer all of them. But Alex, Zara's voice became serious. What I've shared with you tonight, it's not just my secret. There are other people like me, here on Earth, living among humans, studying, learning. If anyone found out about us, she didn't need to finish. Alex understood. This wasn't just about them anymore. This was bigger than a romance between two people from different worlds. This was about the safety of every member of her species who had come to Earth. I understand. Alex said, your secret is safe with me. Zara smiled and reached up to touch his face gently. I knew it would be. That's why I let myself fall for you, she admitted. Standing there in the moonlight, with droplets of glowing water still sparkling in her hair, Zara looked like the most beautiful thing Alex had ever seen, and the most dangerous secret he would ever have to keep. As they walked back toward the house together, Alex realized that his life had just become infinitely more complicated. But looking at Zara, seeing the way she trusted him with everything she was, he knew he wouldn't change a single moment of it. The adventure was just beginning. Over the next few days, Alex found it almost impossible to concentrate on his studies. Every time he looked at a star chart or read about distant planets, he thought about Zara floating in that glowing pool, telling him about her homeworld. Every time he saw her in the kitchen making coffee or heard her laughing with their other roommates, he wanted to tell her 1,000 things he had been thinking about since that magical night. But they had to be careful. Their other roommates, Jake and Lisa, were always around, and Alex was starting to notice things about Zara that he had somehow missed before, like how she never ate meat, but not in the way normal vegetarians avoided it. She seemed almost scared of it, pushing it around on her plate when Lisa cooked dinner for everyone, and she always wore long sleeves, even on the hottest days. Alex had assumed she just liked that style, but now he wondered if she was hiding something. The biggest thing he noticed was how she acted around technology. Zara was supposed to be a graduate student like him, but she seemed uncomfortable around computers and phones. She used them, but carefully, like she was afraid of breaking something, or like she was afraid they might break her. On Thursday evening, Alex was in his room trying to read a chapter about atmospheric conditions on Mars, when he heard a soft knock on his door. Come in, he called out. Zara slipped inside, closing the door quietly behind her. She looked nervous, glancing around his room like she was checking for hidden cameras. We need to talk, she said quietly. Alex put down his book immediately. What's wrong? I got a message today from my people. She sat down on the edge of his bed, and Alex could see that faint shimmer in her skin again, the one that appeared when she was emotional or stressed. What kind of message? My time here is running out, Zara said, and her voice was barely a whisper. I was supposed to finish my research and return home in 3 months, but now they want me back sooner. Alex felt like someone had dropped a cold stone in his stomach. How much sooner? 6 weeks. The words hung in the air between them. 6 weeks, after spending years wondering if there was intelligent life in the universe. Alex had found it living in his own house. And now, just when they were beginning to understand what they meant to each other, she had to leave. Maybe you could stay longer, Alex suggested, though he could already see in her eyes that it wasn't that simple. It's not up to me, Zara said. Sadly, my people are very organized, very careful. Everyone has a role to play. And when that role is finished, you come home. But what if your role isn't finished? What if you're still learning important things? Zara looked at him with those color-changing eyes, and Alex saw something there that made his heart race. What am I still learning? She asked. About us. Alex said, about what it means when two people from different worlds care about each other. Zara's glow brightened, and she reached for his hand. The moment their skin touched, Alex felt that same electric warmth as before. That's exactly what I told them, she said. You told your people about us, not everything. But I told them I had formed a connection with a human that was important to my research. I said I needed more time to understand it fully. Alex felt a flutter of hope. And what did they say? Zara's expression grew complicated. They said that personal connections weren't part of my mission. They said I was getting too involved, forgetting why I came here. And are you? Forgetting why you came here, Sarah was quiet for a long moment, looking down at their joined hands. When she spoke, her voice was so soft Alex had to lean closer. To hear her, I came here to study humans like they were interesting animals, to learn how you think and behave so my people could understand you better. But somewhere along the way, I stopped studying and started living. She looked up at him, and Alex saw tears glowing like tiny stars in her eyes. I stopped being a researcher and started being me, the real me. And that happened because of you, Alex. You made me want to be more than just someone gathering information. Alex felt his heart doing strange things in his chest. So what do we do? I don't know, Zara admitted. I've never been in a situation like this before. My people don't usually form attachments to the species they study. Maybe that's because they've never met the right species before, Alex said, trying to make her smile dot it worked. Zara's face lit up with a grin that made her whole body shimmer with soft light. You know what's funny, she said. What? My people sent me here to learn about human emotions. They wanted to understand how you form bonds, how you care for each other, how love works in your species. Alex felt his breath catch, and now I understand it perfectly, too perfectly. They sat together in comfortable silence for a while, hands still connected, both thinking about impossible situations and uncertain futures. There's something else, Zara said eventually. What? I'm not the only one having this problem. Alex looked at her sharply. What do you mean? There are others here, other researchers like me. Some of them have been on Earth for years, and according to the messages we share, several of them have formed attachments to humans. How many others are there? More than you might think. Fewer than you might fear. We're scattered all over the world, living normal lives, studying different aspects of human society. Alex's mind reeled. How many of his professors, his neighbors, his friends might be from other worlds? How many people walk past aliens every day without knowing it? This changes everything, doesn't it? He said. It changes everything, Zara agreed. Because if my people decide that we're all getting too involved, too attached, they might decide to end the whole program. What would that mean? It would mean calling all of us home, immediately, and possibly deciding that humans aren't ready for contact after all. The weight of that possibility settled over Alex like a heavy blanket. Not just Zara leaving, but the chance for humanity to join a larger community of worlds disappearing completely. But there's another possibility, Zara said, and there was something in her voice that sounded like hope. What? Some of us think that forming connections with humans isn't a problem. With the research, we think it's the most important discovery we could make. How so? Because if the species can care for each other, can trust each other, can even love each other across the vastness of space, then maybe the universe isn't as lonely as we all thought. Alex looked at Zara, this incredible being who had traveled between stars and somehow ended up sitting in his bedroom, holding his hand and talking about love and the meaning of the universe. So what happens now? He asked. Now we have 6 weeks to prove that what we've found together is worth changing everything for. As Zara leaned closer to him, Alex realized that they weren't just figuring out their feelings for each other anymore. They were potentially shaping the future of human-alien relations. No pressure at all. But looking into Zara's glowing eyes, Alex knew he was ready for the challenge. The next morning, Alex woke up with a sense of purpose he had never felt before. He had 6 weeks to help Zara prove that the connections forming between humans and her people were important, not dangerous. 6 weeks to show that love could bridge the gap between worlds. He just had no idea how complicated that was about to become. Alex was making coffee when Jake, one of his roommates, came stumbling into the kitchen looking worried. Dude, did you see the weird lights in the neighborhood last night? Jake asked, rubbing his eyes. Alex's hand froze on the coffee pot. What kind of weird lights? Like really bright flashes coming from different houses, blue and white lights, kind of pulsing. Mrs. Chen next door called the police because she thought someone was setting off fireworks. Alex felt his stomach drop. Did the police find anything? That's the weird part. They didn't find any evidence of fireworks or anything else. but I heard one of the officers telling another one that they've been getting reports like this all over the city for the past week. Before Alex could respond, Sarah appeared in the kitchen doorway. She looked pale, and Alex could see that telltale shimmer in her skin that meant she was upset, mourning. She said casually, but her eyes met Alex's with an urgent look, mourning. Alex replied, understanding immediately that they needed to talk privately. Jake grabbed a piece of toast and headed toward the door. I'm going to class early. Want to stop by the campus security office and see if anyone reported weird lights there too. After Jake left, Alex and Zara looked at each other with growing alarm. The others, Zara whispered. Someone saw the others. What do you mean? The next morning, Alex woke up with a sense of purpose he had never felt before. He had 6 weeks to help Zara prove that the connections forming between humans and her people were important, not dangerous. 6 weeks to show that love could bridge the gap between worlds. He just had no idea how complicated that was about to become. Alex was making coffee when Jake, one of his roommates, came stumbling into the kitchen looking worried. Dude, did you see the weird lights in the neighborhood last night? Jake asked, rubbing his eyes. Alex's hand froze on the coffee pot. What kind of weird lights? Like really bright flashes coming from different houses. Blue and white lights, kind of pulsing. Mrs. Chen next door called the police because she thought someone was setting off fireworks. Alex felt his stomach drop. Did the police find anything? That's the weird part. They didn't find any evidence of fireworks or anything else. But I heard one of the officers telling another one that they've been getting reports like this all over the city for the past week. Before Alex could respond, Zara appeared in the kitchen doorway. She looked pale, and Alex could see that telltale shimmer in her skin that meant she was upset, mourning. She said casually, but her eyes met Alex's with an urgent look, mourning. Alex replied, understanding immediately that they needed to talk privately. Jake grabbed a piece of toast and headed toward the door. I'm going to class early. Want to stop by the campus security office and see if anyone reported weird lights there too. After Jake left, Alex and Zara looked at each other with growing alarm. The others, Zara whispered. Someone saw the others. What do you mean? My people. We communicate with each other using light signals, patterns that look like natural phenomena to humans, but carry complex messages to us. Alex felt a chill run down his spine. And last night, everyone was talking about the new orders from home, about relationships with humans, about the timeline changes, about what to do if we're discovered. And someone saw the light signals. Not just someone. Multiple people all over the city. Alex, I think we're in trouble. Before Alex could respond, his phone buzzed with a text message from a number he didn't recognize. Strange energy readings detected in your area. Government team investigating. Be careful. Alex showed the message to Zara and watched her face go completely pale. Who would send you something like that? She asked. I have no idea. But Zara, if the government is investigating, then we're not just trying to prove that human-alien relationships are worthwhile anymore. Zara finished. We're trying to survive them. As Alex looked at his phone, then at Zara's frightened face, he realized that their 6-week deadline had just become much more urgent and much more dangerous. The question was no longer whether they could prove their love was worth changing everything for. The question was whether they could survive long enough to try. That afternoon, Alex couldn't concentrate on any of his classes. Every time he saw someone in a suit, every time he heard a helicopter overhead, every time he noticed a van parked along in one spot, he wondered if they were being watched. When he got home, Zara was waiting for him with news that made everything worse. I made contact with the others, she said the moment he walked through the door, and 3 of them have gone completely dark. No response to any signals. What does that mean? Either they're hiding so deep they can't risk any communication, or they've been found. Zara nodded grimly. The rest of us are trying to stay calm, but Alex, we're scared. We've never dealt with anything like this before. Alex pulled her into his arms, feeling how tense she was, how her usual warm glow had dimmed to almost nothing. "What can I do?" he asked. "I don't know. My people's plan was always to avoid detection completely. We never prepared for what to do if humans found us." "But humans didn't find you," Alex pointed out. "You trusted me with your secret. That's different, is it, Zara? Maybe the solution isn't hiding better. Maybe it's trusting more." She looked up at him with those color-shifting eyes. "What do you mean?" "I mean, maybe the reason some of your people are in trouble is because they're trying to handle this alone. But what if they had humans helping them? You want to tell more people, not random people. But think about it. If there are government agents looking for aliens, they're probably looking for the wrong things. They're looking for invasions and threats and hostility." Alex's mind was racing now, pieces clicking together. But what if they found something completely different? What if they found humans and aliens working together, caring about each other, protecting each other? Zara stared at him for a long moment. "You want to change the entire situation. I want to change the entire conversation," Alex corrected. "Instead of this being about hiding aliens among humans, what if it becomes about humans and aliens choosing to trust each other?" "That's incredibly dangerous, Alex, if we're wrong. If your people react badly, then you go home and humanity loses the greatest opportunity it's ever had," Alex said simply. "But if we're right, if we can show them what I've seen in you, what you've seen in me, then everything changes." "Everything changes," Alex agreed. They stood together in the quiet kitchen, holding each other while thinking about decisions that could reshape the future of two worlds. "There's something I need to tell you," Zara said finally. "What?" "The message I got from my people today. They're not just moving up my departure date." Alex felt his heart sink. "What else?" "They're sending a ship, a rescue ship, in case the situation on Earth becomes too dangerous for us. When it'll be here in 2 weeks." 2 weeks. Alex felt like all the air had been sucked out of the room. "But here's the thing," Zara continued. "The ship isn't just coming for me. It's coming for all of us, and once it arrives, once my people see how complicated things have become here, they'll decide humans aren't ready for contact. They'll decide humans are too dangerous for contact." Alex understood. This wasn't just about him and Zara anymore. In 2 weeks, a ship from another world would arrive at Earth, and what they found here would determine whether humanity got to join the cosmic community or remained alone in the universe. "So we have 2 weeks to change everything," Alex said. "We have 2 weeks to save everything," Zara corrected, as Alex looked at the woman he had fallen in love with, the woman who might have to leave Earth forever in 14 days. He made a decision that terrified and thrilled him in equal measure. Then we better get started. The final phase of their impossible love story was about to begin.